Welcome to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Noethling. You are about to discover impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you, so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Be sure you visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com. While you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now tune in, get ready, and enjoy the journey of emerging as a leader of exception in the 21st century.
Welcome, everyone, to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast. I'm your host, Vicki Noethling, coming to you from Roswell, Georgia. The goal of this podcast is to bring topics and guests that will empower you to become that confident leader and take your business and your life to the next level. Today, I am very pleased to have Dr. Joseph Drolshagen as my guest. Let me tell you a little bit about Dr. Joey. Dr. Joey has been featured in Fox, NBC, CBS, and USA News, along with being named one of the top business coaches in America for 5 consecutive years in the NYC, New York City Journal. He has also been featured in Disruptors magazine, and as of February 2025, in the enterprise world, I could speak this morning, enterprise world, Joseph is the rapid growth specialist, combining his 28 plus years career in corporate America up to the VP of sales and his doctorate in psychology with extensive studies and knowledge of mindset. He has assisted multiple organizations experiencing bankruptcy back into profitability, along with creating innovative systems that bring about massive results, both personally and professionally. Utilizing his subconscious mindset training, the SMT Method, he helps business owners and sales professionals across America along their conscious and subconscious mind with their vision, transforming self-sabotaging behaviors while linking accelerating habits that lead to greater success. Today, we're going to talk about get out of the way of growth you desire. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Joseph Drolshagen. We call him Dr. Joey. Dr.
Thanks,
Joey.
Vicki. It's great to be here with you today. I'm looking forward to a really good conversation.
Yeah, I always love to talk about mindset. I just have found over the years that it is really, especially our subconscious, drives so much of what we do. So it's always a thirst for knowledge about that. But we do start with 2 easy questions. The first question is just tell everybody, where do you call home? Where do you live?
I'm originally from Detroit, Michigan. I now live in the mountains of South Carolina. I'm in South Carolina, as far away from the ocean as you can be. I'm in the northwest corner of the state.
Oh, wow. Yeah, we we actually spend time in the area near Greenville, Fair Play, South Carolina, on Lake Hartwell. So
nice,
one of favorite places.
Yeah.
So the second piece is a little bit more extensive information. We told all these great things you've accomplished, but I always ask for you to share that journey that you had, really to explain that it wasn't a straight road, that there were pivots and changes and challenges that you had to overcome to get to who you are today and really inform what you do and why you do it. So share a little bit about that journey.
Yeah, I grew up in very humble beginnings in Detroit, Michigan. I was one of 5 children. My mom and dad stayed married until death did them part, and I watched them struggle. I mean, just continuous struggle, continuous anxiety, fear, things like that. So, at 8 years old, I thought, man, you guys aren't doing something right. I'm not going to live like you guys. And at 22 years old, I had an opportunity to take over a 7 figure construction company. I didn't have to put money out of my pocket. The guy just liked me. We got to be friends, and he wanted to retire, so he was going to give it to me, and I was going to take, I think it was 5 or 7 years to, cover his portion of it and stuff. He's helped me get it going and everything else. And that was the most exciting day of my adult life at the time. 3 days later, I rejected it and said no. And the reason I said no is because I thought I didn't earn it because I didn't work hard enough for it. So that struggle stayed with me. On that day, I became a student of the works I do today. And that was 4 decades ago.
Wow.
A little under 4 decades ago. So I got into sales in ground floor, and I was barely making a mark. I was traveling 3 to 5,000 miles a week trying to develop territories and hardly doing nothing, always fearful I was going to lose my position because I wasn't producing enough, things like that. And so as I went through all these things, coaching programs and this and that and everything, just continuous learning, and as I went through it, I would learn things, but I would never saw changes in my results until I came across the subconscious mind. And so once I broke ice on there, and I didn't go looking for it, I didn't know to, but once it started happening and I started understanding, since that time, I've learned 85% of our results is coming from that subconscious programming, because the subconscious is what triggers our brain waves to the actions we take or don't take. So in our conscious mind, we know what we want. And that's how I lived. I knew what I wanted, but I just didn't get the alignment of the actions to do that. And I tried pushing myself. I tried getting accountability. I tried all the different things, and it didn't happen that way. Once I understood the subconscious, once I understood about that programming, then, and this is my whole doctorate degree right here is what I'm, is once I understood that, then I started seeking specific help into that. And doors started opening up. I went from being afraid of losing my job within a little over, even maybe a year and a half, to the point of landing $18 million year-over-year contracts. 22, the largest was a $25 million year-over-year contract that took a company, a $50 million organization, to $75 million in that one sale.
Wow.
And so as you do well there, then they promote you up to sales. So I started using these same tools with my team and, helping them to help grow a greater number of top producers on my team. And we saw huge results in that. And then I don't know why I did this. I guess because of my drive, is I got into an organization and I helped a couple of companies go from bankruptcy back to profitability. And every gray hair I have, Vicki, came from that. That's such hard living because I don't have the heart for it. Like, I'm thinking of 275, 380 employees that are dependent on this organization, their paycheck, doing the work and everything else, and in areas where there wasn't a whole lot of industry. So it really, I had such a hard time with that, but I continued developing these tools. Then I started the last one going out of bankruptcy. I was like, man, I love helping my salespeople. I love helping businesses scale. I don't like all the other hats you have to wear as a VP of sales with all the stuff you're mandated to do that doesn't even really determine the course of the business and stuff. And so I resigned, moved down here to South Carolina, and I started out by handing out 5 business cards a day just to meet people down here. And the whole thing has continued to grow.
Awesome. Great story. And it really does show that it is the little things that you do that really compound over time to get you to the goals. And opportunities are really presented to you all through life, and it's just whether or not you say yes or no.
And what happens with those is so we have the programming. The programming in the subconscious is what sets our perceptions, and our perceptions then determine our results. So if I want different results, I have to shift my perceptions. In order to do that, I have to go identify the programming, cause, and limitation and shift that. And then the whole thing opens up so we can start growing, and we can not have to travel 3,000 to 5,000 miles every single week in order to build territories. We can start doing that and still have freedom to live life and enjoy life in what we're building.
Yeah. And you're talking about everything within your subconscious, but then there's things that feed that, those people around you, those even your management that don't get it yet. And that feeds that negativity or that negative mindset. So being courageous enough to have the confidence to step away when you need to step away, I think is important too.
Absolutely. And I work within corporate America now. But what I do is I work through the director, VP of sales, whoever is leading the sales team, and I identify people within their organization now without hiring new people that we can elevate, to
Yeah.
that top producer set. And a lot of times I have to work simultaneous with whoever's leading that sales team in order to help their people elevate because it does stop it. We grow up in a world that tries to make us robots, right?
Yeah.
If you want something, find someone who has what you want, do what they did, and you'll get it. But that never works
Yeah.
because we're all unique individuals. Even a lot of coaching programs are based on here's the model, and the model is cemented. It doesn't move. Now, for me to go in and use that model, I have to change me into something I'm not in order to fit into that model. And I went through that multiple times and I'd walk away going, man, there must be something the matter with me. I didn't get anything. In developing the SMT method, which stands for subconscious mindset training, it's fluid. So it doesn't matter how the individual comes in, it's going to align with them, with the uniqueness of the individual, with their programming, their desires, all of that. So, and like I said, 85% of the results we experience, good or bad, are coming from that programming in the subconscious. Even in schools, we go to school. If you and I are in an algebra class and we both have a long problem to solve, if I show all of the steps of the work and everything and I get to the right answer, I get full credit. Now you come along and you do it and you got a couple shortcuts in your mind on how to, and you still get the right answer. You get marked down because you didn't show all of the steps of it. And it
My
just
husband
continues.
I was just going to say, my husband was a math teacher for over 40 years, and he always wanted to see their work, not necessarily to say that it matched exactly the way he did, but he learned, well, let's see. There's different ways to get to that place. I always call it your GPS of your mind. And I think that's really important to understand in everything that we do, that as long as you get to the end goal, how you got there.
That's a really smart teacher right there, your husband,
Yeah.
by
Yeah.
looking at it that way. So often it's not looked at like that. And then we get into jobs, right? Because of my sales and stuff.
That's right.
We get a job in sales, and the sales manager tells us, you have to do this, and this to be successful. Well, I can't stand doing a lot of those things. And I'd rather do that. So part of the SMT method is developing systems of accelerating habits that are unique to that individual. There's things that light you up and trigger your attraction mechanism to attract people to you and things like that when you're in that energy. Why spend all of our time doing all these things we can't stand doing when we can come up with? So one of the things I have to work with the VP of sales or director I work with is help them understand not two of your people are going to have the same things that they do to be successful.
We're so aligned because I teach leading with the heart, the head, and the hand. And the heart piece is that building relationships, spending time to find about your people, what is unique about them, what does motivate them. And then you can teach the head stuff, the strategy, everything else, because it makes sense to them.
Yes. Yes. Anybody who wants to change their results, I'll tell you right up front, get the alignment going with your conscious subconscious mind, clear away that programming, redo the programming and things like that, to get new programming in place, and then set your strategy. We have all these things that tell us, we got your roadmap to success and everything else. You don't even know who I am. You know nothing about me.
Yeah.
You have my roadmap. How can that possibly work for me? And I bought into those for a long time too, quite a few years. But when we do that, when we get the alignment going first, the strategies are completely different than when we go, okay, I got an idea. Let me do my strategy, my to-do list, all the stuff I'm going to do to make it happen. And then it doesn't happen. And then again, going back to the programming, most people will put more effort, more hours, more exhaustion, more of that into it until honestly, I can't tell you how many business owners I talked to that had a great business idea, but they stopped doing it just because of the exhaustion of the way they were trying to get there.
Yeah. I was a project manager for 20 years, and I hated whenever we brought in outside consulting accounting firms or whatever, the big guys, because they just came in with a predetermined way of how we were going to fix things. Didn't take time to get to know the team, to really know the business well enough to make, and so, then we're going down the path trying to execute something that, those of us that had been around the block a few times knew was not going to work easily. It was
Doesn't
trying to
fit.
put that, square peg in a round hole.
Round hole. There you go. Yeah, absolutely. And so that's why every client I work with, it's based on the uniqueness of the client, between their desires, between the
Yeah.
things that light them up, between the programming in their subconscious. Because there's a lot of likenesses, fears, this and that and everything in it, but it's unique to each person experiencing it.
So your coach is called IFGT, that company. And so what does IFGT Life Coaching stand for?
I'll tell you really quickly before I tell you what it stands for. I started this at 22 years old. About 11 years ago, 12 years ago, whatever it's been now, is when I actually stepped out and started doing this. The name of the organization is It's Freaking Go Time.
I love it.
It's time to quit taking baby steps. It's time to quit expecting, 5% or 10% or even 15% growth year over year. So it's time to really kind of step outside of what, and this is why I tell every client, you have to be willing to be a little bit uncomfortable, because we're going to do things different than you've ever done them, but you can't get to where you want to get to without doing things different than how you've always done.
That's right. That's right. That's the definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over again.
Yes.
Expecting different results. No, it won't work. Why are you so passionate and tenacious and driven to help people live better lives? And we're aligned in that too, sir.
Yeah. I love the word tenacious. It's one of my favorite words. The reason I am is because I've been the guinea pig for everything I do today. So I've gone from that struggle place and stuff like that all the time growing up in my 20s, things like that. I have one son. I was married, a 19-year marriage, and in that we had 5 pregnancies and we had 2 stillbirths, and then my son was born. And then we had 2 other ones that were on equipment for in past and stuff like that. So when I say I adore my son, like he is my greatest blessing, and so for his first birthday, I wasn't home celebrating with him because I was in Indiana building a territory, because my programming told me that a man gets a job, supports a family, and hopefully lives long enough to enjoy some retirement. He's a provider, work comes first, all of that. And I remember driving around that day, Vicki, and I couldn't stop the tears of what I was missing because I had to live this, not realizing I didn't have to.
Yeah.
And so as I started going forward, as I started seeing these changes happen, my parents were such great people, and they didn't have these tools available to them back then. But man, when I think about how they were, and I think about my life and the way it took off originally and stuff, initially, is if I can do anything to help somebody avoid that stuff, if I can do anything to help somebody, it's just a repositioning of that, which shifts the perceptions and then results. I want to be there for them to do that. And one of the other ways I do that is, aside from, I have a new book coming out, but aside from my writings, my speaking, my coaching, is I'm launching an institute to certify other coaches in the SMT method, so that I can expand the impact of my life now and even after I leave here.
Awesome. Always good to leave a legacy, for sure.
Yeah.
So what are the avenues you use to coach? Is it really that initial getting to know them, seeing how they're unique, and then what do you do next?
Yeah, I have conversations with people before I even, they become clients and stuff, because I want to know. I have a really good track record. This SMT method has had incredible breakthroughs, success for people. I don't want to, at first I wanted to coach everybody, right? I want to help the whole world, everybody. And then I realized what I do isn't necessarily for those who need it, it's for those who want it. So as I start honing in more on that and stuff, then I'll talk to somebody. If it aligns for both sides and everything, then we start working together. And I come out of the gate with every individual organization or corporation I work with, developing what the SMT method calls a dynamic vision.
Mm.
Some people call it what's it look like, that type of a thing at the end, but it's really powered up. And so we start with that because even in developing that vision, we start bumping up against those patterns, paradigms, that limiting beliefs
Yeah.
and such. So then we can shift that, move forward into it and stuff. And then once we have the vision, now we can start living and to help clients do this, we start living through the reality of that vision as if it's here now. As we do that, those opportunities you talked about, all of a sudden we're going, oh my God, look at this, look at it. And things are, coincidence out of the blue. I call them, God winks, whatever
Yeah.
you refer to them as, is all of a sudden we start noticing them happening. And ultimately what that is we can build our strategies, but how many people that are actually truly successful at the level they want to be, did their strategy carry them through that, and how versus how many of those people that their plan was to go this way and something happened to cause them to go this way, and that was the unlock to it and stuff. So it's, strategy is good to be able to look at, to build onto the vision with, but it's not when we put blinders on and that's all we see, it's going to be a really tough road to success.
Mm. I learned that as a project manager. I loved when we moved from waterfall, where you have this set, this is what we're going to do all the way, if it's a year, 2 year project, whatever, to agile, where you learn, you fail, you fix, you change, you pivot constantly. And I think that's when we create strategy. We really need to always be looking at that strategy to see what's changed in the world, the people that we're serving, and all those
Yeah,
things, so that we're constantly adjusting.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
hundreds of clients that I've had the privilege of working with up until now have had incredible success, like from $7.5 million revenue to over $22 million revenue in 12 months. And that story goes on and on and on and on. And we don't start with the strategy. We start with getting that dynamic vision in the line, and not just
Yeah.
business revenue, but how do you live your life based on that? What are your relationships like? What's your time and money free? How do you get to share and give and play and all that stuff and save and all that stuff with it? And we get into that, and then we put that on. And then as we go forward, another part of the program is we develop systems of accelerating habits that are unique to the individual.
Yeah, that's really important. And, there's a lot of emotional intelligence going on there, because it's really requiring those people that you're working with to really be self-aware.
Yes. Yes. And what I tell every client I work with, I I'm not the hero here. I'm just setting the stage, and I'm the guide is what I am. You go up to Mount Everest, you get done with it, you thank the guide, but you have that inside of you. The person I'm working with is the hero in their journey.
Yeah.
I just get I
So,
get the opportunity and the blessing of guiding.
so what's the greatest challenge you've faced in helping people?
Some people getting over themselves. One of the things I took me a while to learn this, but some people just are not open. When you're talking about a vision or things like that, or that 7.5 to 20 over 22 million, somebody will go, that's unrealistic. And if that's really your mindset and you're not willing
Yeah,
to look
never
at that,
gonna
if you
get
don't
it.
have ultimately the answer in 2 words is a beginner mindset. Beginner mindset I define as, we all know a lot. But a beginner mindset will say, what can I take from here to add to what I already know versus I know, I know, I know, I know. That
Mm.
person I can work with, and every client I work with, and even myself, I know there's areas where I'm a I know guy, and so it's helping people understand that, and then get through allow them to
Yeah.
get to that what can I add to state.
Yeah. Getting over your ego.
Yeah. So it's ego, but programming leads to the ego.
Yeah. Time is flying by. I guess my
I know.
final question. So, how do you manage the fears that you have in your life. I was so happy that you did say that sometimes your ego does. You want to present yourself as that subject matter expert. And it just reminds me, one of my early mentors told me, don't be the smartest person in the room. And that I've stuck with that always, because for a long time I said, well, that's not a problem for me. But I think that's really important to manage our fears, that if I don't act like I know everything, people won't follow me, won't listen to me, won't hire me.
Yeah. I'll give you an example of something I did. I thought I was afraid of heights, not in an airplane or something like that, but I thought I was afraid of heights, And so during COVID, I went hang gliding. And my first run off of a 2,000-foot mountaintop, there was such mighty fear running through me, and you only have 3 steps, and then you're in the air. So after that third step, the fear built, and I could feel it, my heartbeat in my throat, and everything in my head's going, stop, stop, stop. And the moment my feet left the ground, I was soaring. I love eagles. I felt like I got the sensation that they get. And the fear, as soon as my feet left the ground, the fear dissipated. And yet I realized I'm not afraid of heights. I'm afraid of falling.
Yeah.
And so it's going through them. So often we see our fears as being, insurmountable, and they're so far side to side, we can't get around them, tall, we can't get over them. But when we go through them, they're paper thin. It's all based on make believe, our fears, false evidence appearing real. So when I can get somebody to understand that, and we can walk through that, then we can take a step into it, and then we take another, and all of a sudden we're beyond that fear. Fear is only something that we're uncomfortable with because we haven't done before.
Yeah, absolutely.
And people talk about the hot stove. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I have a fear of heights too, but over the years I've gotten less and less. But I always thought I'd have a heart attack as I took that final step.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
What if I have a heart attack as I'm doing that? So you've given me some encouragement.
Awesome. And there's a difference between the fears we have of things we haven't done. And like for me, the fear of taking a paperclip and stick it in a wall socket, because I did that when I was a kid, and I know how it burned both my fingers so badly that I can almost feel them today, like how bad it hurt. I don't do it today not because I'm afraid, because I know what's going to happen. So even in that, we can start differentiating. Because people say, well, some fear is good. Well, no, not really. Fear is working against us. Our inside, our intuition, all of that stuff knows the things. We don't touch a hot stove. We don't stick a paperclip. That's not fear. That's knowledge based.
I was just gonna say, it's knowledge.
Yeah.
I'm so happy we got to meet each other, and you shared really a lot of excellent advice for the audience and insights. And I do want to share the slide that has the information. If the audience is so motivated by what you said and love to chat a little bit more with you, let me go ahead and share that slide. If you're just listening, you know the rules. You can go ahead to my Vicki Noethling YouTube channel, get all the show notes. All this information will be there, as well as my findyourleadershipconfidence.com. But if you're watching, you can go ahead and get that screenshot right now. If share will let me work. There we go. Awesome. So the website is, for those just listening, josephdrolshagen.com. That's JOSEPHDROLSHAGEN.com. Facebook is IFGT, all caps, coach. LinkedIn is IFGT, all caps again, coach. And Instagram is all small letters, IFGT, coach. And X, Twitter, is IFGT Coach, and YouTube is at IFGT Coach, all small letters. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Joey. He's going to tell you about how you can schedule a time with him and really share some things that he puts out on his website and where he spends the most time in social media. Dr. Joey.
Absolutely. Thank you. And I'll tell anybody, Drolshagen, I mean, I've come to realize it's a really cool last name, but it doesn't do well in trying to make that a something that at home that a lot of people talk about and things like that. So I do have a shortcut to that. It's ifgtcoach.com to my website. It's
Awesome.
freaking go time. ifgtcoach.com. And then I have a new book that's coming out, and this will lead in some. I have a new book that's coming out. It's called Reprogramming Your Subconscious Mind, the SMT Method to Rapid Results.
Awesome.
And so what I'm going to offer your audience here is a very special gift. Is anybody that wants to talk more about this can schedule a 15-minute call with me and just get on. It's not a sales pitch. It's just to serve. And you can go to coachwithjoey.com, schedule that. Any of your audience who schedules this call with me, when we get on the phone and tell me that, I'll give you a free copy of Reprogramming Your Subconscious Mind.
Awesome. All right. If you haven't got that screenshot, do so right now because, yes, I am going to stop the share. Dr. Joey, I just enjoyed so much chatting with you. We're so aligned, and you really did give a lot of information. I do hope people will go and check out your new book. And as always, thank you for being a great guest.
Oh, I really enjoyed this. I'd like to follow up and see if there's some other things we can do or support each other,
Yeah,
assist each other and stuff. So
absolutely.
I'll
Definitely
reach
want to
out
have
to
you
you via
back.
email.
Awesome. As always,
All
I
right.
remind everyone life is a journey, and it's up to you to enjoy the ride. This is Vicki
Absolutely.
Noethling signing off.
Thank you for tuning into the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Noethling, where we share impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Remember to visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast.